Her fiancé returned a war hero, but she had married his father, the Duke. Now, the jilted son plots to reclaim the only woman he ever loved. Would you choose duty, or the love you thought was lost forever? Stay with me and subscribe for more stories like this. Lady Clara Ashford stood at the drawing room window, watching the rain run down the glass like tears she refused to cry. In her hand she held a worn letter, the last one James had sent before the silence. Asterisk. My dearest Clara, when I return, we shall be married at once. I am yours forever. James. Asterisk. That had been 6 months ago. Before that, his letters had come often full of mud, gunfire, fear, and love. Then they slowed. Then they stopped. 2 months ago, an officer had stood in this very room, hat in hand, eyes full of pity. Lord James Worthington was missing, presumed dead. His body had not been found. Clara had not screamed. She had simply gone still inside, like something frozen. Clara, please join us, her father called from the study. She folded the letter and slid it into her sleeve, as if it were a part of her skin, and went in. Her father looked older than he had that morning. Her mother's face was tight with worry. Across from them stood Duke Edmund Worthington, James's father. The Duke was tall, with iron-gray hair, and the same sharp blue eyes as his son. He bowed. Lady Clara, thank you for seeing me. Her heart pounded. Why was he here? Her father cleared his throat. Clara, our situation is very serious. She knew. The failed investments. The bad harvest. Her brother's debts. They were drowning. The Duke has made a generous offer, her mother said. One that would save us all. Clara's stomach turned. What kind of offer? I am in need of a wife, the Duke said, voice cool and careful. You are a lady of good family and strong character. Your father needs funds. I propose a marriage that will protect us both. For a moment, the room spun. You wish to marry times me asterisk? She asked. I understand this is sudden, he said. I grieve for James as you do. But life continues. Duty does not wait for grief to pass. No, Clara whispered. I cannot. Her father's eyes shone with shame. Clara, without this, we lose the house. Your mother, your sister, we will have nothing. You would be a duchess, her mother pleaded. Safe, provided for. Except for love, Clara said. Her voice shook. Except for James. The Duke's expression softened a fraction. I do not offer love. I offer safety, respect, and a place in the world. In time, perhaps, companionship. That is more than many have. Clara looked at her parents. She saw fear and the weight of their mistakes. She thought of Anne, her younger sister, who needed a dowry. The servants who would lose their positions. James, whose last letter still promised forever. I need time, Clara said. We have none, her father replied. Creditors come in 3 days. Clara turned to the window. Rain blurred the world. She pressed her palm to the cold glass. James, she whispered in her heart. Asterisk, forgive me. Asterisk. She turned back, face pale but steady. Very well, Your Grace. I accept. The wedding was small, held in a quiet chapel a week later. Clara moved like a sleepwalker. She wore cream silk that felt heavy on her shoulders. The Duke placed a thick gold ring on her finger. It looked wrong. Too large, too bright. When the vicar pronounced them man and wife, the Duke kissed her cheek, polite and distant. Clara felt as if her heart had been lowered into a grave. In her new chambers at Worthington Hall that night, she took out James's final letter. She read it once more. Every word a knife and a comfort. I am yours forever, James, the letter said. No, Clara whispered. You are gone, and I belong to duty now. She kissed the paper, placed it in a locked drawer, and turned the key. She was the Duchess of Worthington. Outside, The wind howled around the great stone house. Inside, Clara lay awake, feeling like a ghost in her own life. 3 months later, Clara had learned to move through her days as if on stage. At breakfast, she poured the Duke's coffee, asked after estate matters, and smiled when required. He hid behind his newspaper, speaking in short, polite phrases. They never spoke of James. They never spoke of love. They lived like well-behaved strangers. That morning, Clara sat in the bright breakfast room, reading a cheerful letter from Anne about gowns and dances. She was trying to be happy for her sister when the calm was shattered. Raised voices sounded in the hall. "Sir, you cannot simply—" The door burst open. A man stood there, tall and lean, clothes dusty from travel. A pale scar cut across his cheek. His hair was too long, his jaw shadowed with stubble. But his eyes, those blue eyes— Clara's teacup fell and smashed on the floor. "James," she whispered. The Duke shot to his feet. "My son?" James's gaze moved from his father to Clara, then to the ring shining on her hand. His face changed, hope twisting into disbelief. "Father," he said slowly, "why is my fiancée wearing your ring?" The room went silent. "We thought you were dead," the Duke said, voice shaking. "The army reported. The report was wrong." James cut in. "I was captured. I spent 8 months in a prison camp. Another 4, trying to get home." His gaze burned into Clara. "Every night, I dreamed of you, of coming back to marry you." His jaw clenched. "Imagine my joy when I walked in and found you at my father's table." "James," Clara gasped. "We were told—" "How long did you wait?" he demanded. "How long before you married him? It is not. Did you mourn me at all?" he pushed. "Or were you too busy becoming a duchess?" The words sliced through her. "Enough," the Duke snapped. "You will not speak to my wife that way. Your wife." James laughed once, harsh and broken. "My father's wife. My lost love." His eyes flashed to Clara, full of hurt. "I survived hell for this." The butler and footman hovered in the doorway, wide-eyed. Gossip was already taking shape. James bowed stiffly. "Forgive my interruption, Your Grace." "Your Graces." He turned and limped from the room. Clara sank into her chair, trembling. The Duke stared at the door, his face unreadable. That evening, the Duke insisted they attend a dinner party. "If we hide, the scandal will only grow," he said. "We will face it." London society did not disappoint. Whispers followed them through every room. Fans fluttered. Eyes cut between Clara, the Duke, and James, now a handsome war hero in dress uniform, surrounded by praise and carrying a storm inside him. "It is like a novel," Lady Pemberton announced knowingly. "Imagine, a son returning to find his father has married his sweetheart." "A tragedy," someone murmured. "A scandal," another woman said, thrilled. Clara felt every whisper like a touch on her bare skin. When she could no longer breathe, she fled to the garden, clutching the stone wall for balance. "Running away?" a voice asked from the shadows. James stepped forward, brandy in hand, moonlight catching his scar. "I needed air," Clara said. "From your husband?" His mouth twisted. "From everyone," she replied quietly. He walked closer. "Tell me the truth. How could you marry him?" Tears stung her eyes. "We thought you were dead. My family was ruined. We would have lost everything. Your father paid for you," James said. "And you agreed." Clara slapped him before she could stop herself. "I mourned you every day," she said, voice shaking. "I married him because I had no choice. I did it to save my family, to protect your father's estate. I died inside that day." James touched his cheek, anger fading to confusion. "Clara, Your Grace?" The Duke's voice cut through the night. "It is time to leave." Clara stepped back. As she passed James, he caught her wrist gently. "This is not over," he said, low and fierce. Something is wrong in this story. I will find out what. And when I do, I will take back the woman I love. Clara walked inside on unsteady legs, feeling his vow follow her like a shadow. Her fiancé returned a war hero, but she had married his father, the Duke. Will they choose love, revenge, or duty? Keep listening. And don't forget to subscribe. James stayed at Worthington Hall, but the house no longer felt like home. It felt like a puzzle. He watched his father and Clara at dinners, in the gardens, at church. There was no warmth, no secret smiles, no shared touches. This was not a love match. At night, he wandered the halls and listened. Servants' whispers told him what he already suspected. The Duke never visited Clara's bed. The marriage was a partnership, not a true union. So why had it happened? James began to dig. He visited the study when his father was out. He searched for old letters and found nothing. Too clean. Too ordered. Wrong. He spoke to the estate steward about the Ashford finances, to the vicar about the wedding, to bankers in town. Slowly, pieces came together. Clara's family had been in deeper trouble than anyone knew. Someone had made it worse. One stormy afternoon, he blocked Mr. Finch, the Duke's nervous secretary, in the library. "The letters I sent from Spain," James said. "To my father. To Clara. What happened to them?" Finch paled. "My lord, I do not know. Do not lie to me," James said, voice steel. "They were delivered to London. I checked. Where did they go after that?" Finch's hands shook. "I only did as I was told." "Told by whom?" A smooth voice floated in. "That would be me." Harold Ashford, Clara's uncle, strolled into the room. He smiled as if entering a card game. "Lord James," Harold said, "you look well for a dead man." James's fist tightened. "You took my letters." Harold shrugged. "Letters get lost all the time. War is messy." "You caused their ruin," James pressed. "You stole from them. Then you used that crisis to push Clara into my father's arms." Harold's smile slipped. "Careful, my lord." James dropped a folder on the table. "Courier records. Bank papers. Your fake accounts. Finch's confession." His eyes were cold. "You turned my supposed death into profit. You lied so my father would offer marriage, and Clara would feel she had no choice." Finch covered his face with his hands. "I am sorry, my lord. I did not know you lived," he said. "It was for the best." "You will repay every pound you stole," James said to Harold. "You will sign a full confession, or I will see you in chains." Harold swallowed. "You would drag Clara's family name through court?" "I would protect her from you," James answered. He left them standing there and went to find Clara. She was in the conservatory, hands in the soil, trying to coax life from roses. When she saw him, she straightened, guarded. "James, you should not." "I know the truth," he said softly, "about the debts, the missing letters. Your uncle." Her face drained of color. "How?" "It does not matter." He stepped closer. "You did not betray me. You were forced." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I thought you were dead. Everything was falling apart. Your father needed an heir's mother, and Uncle said," her voice cracked, "I could not let my family lose everything. I could not let your inheritance vanish too. I thought it was the only way." James pulled her into his arms. For a moment she resisted, then sagged against him, shaking. "I never stopped loving you," she sobbed. "Not for a day." "And I never stopped loving you," he said. "You sacrificed yourself for everyone else. But the marriage was built on lies. It should never have happened." Clara pulled back, wiping her eyes. The vows were still spoken. "I am his wife. I cannot just undo that." "A court could," James said. "Fraud, deception, there might be grounds for annulment." "At the cost of my family's name?" she replied. "At the cost of your father's honor. He believed you dead, James. He has been no monster to me." I will not drag him through public shame. The conservatory door opened. Nor will I allow it, the Duke said quietly. He stepped inside, closing the door. His face looked older, but his gaze was clear. I heard enough, he said. Sit down, both of you. It is time we stopped hiding from the truth. Chapter 4. The study felt like a courtroom. The Duke stood by the window. Clara sat on a small chair, hands tight in her lap. James stood near the desk, papers in hand. Tell me everything, the Duke said. All of it. James obeyed. He explained Harold's theft, the hidden letters, the twisted report of James's death. As he spoke, the Duke's face hardened, then sagged. So, the Duke said at last, voice low, Clara married me to save her family and my estate, while believing my son was dead. Yes, Clara whispered. I thought I was doing what was right. You were, the Duke said. I was the one who did not ask enough questions. He met her eyes. I wanted a wife. I wanted company. I saw a chance and took it. I did not look too closely at your grief, because I did not wish to see it. You did not know, she insisted. I chose not to know, he corrected. He turned to James. And you? I accepted your death with too much ease. I did not push the War Office harder. I let myself believe the worst, because it spared me uncertainty. He shook his head. I have failed you both. You can still set it right, James said. We can seek annulment. And drag Clara into court, the Duke asked. Let lawyers tear her character apart? Let newspapers print lies about her? No, I will not do that. Then what? James demanded. You expect her to live as your wife while I haunt the same halls? I expect nothing, the Duke said, because I have been selfish long enough. He walked to his desk and picked up a folded document. This is a deed of separation, prepared days ago. I have been thinking of it since the night you returned. Clara's head snapped up. Separation? I cannot give you love, Clara, the Duke said quietly, and I will not keep you in a marriage born of lies. With this, we live apart. You keep your title and income. There is no trial, only quiet, legal work. Society will gossip, as it always does, but the worst of the scandal will fall on me, not you. James stared. You would do that? Give up your wife? For me? For both of you, the Duke replied. You belong together. I can see that now without jealousy. I am an old man. I will not stand between you and the life that should have been yours. Clara's throat hurt. Edmund, I did come to care for you. And I for you, he said gently. Which is why I must let you go. Before anyone could answer, the study door flew open. Harold Ashford stumbled in, followed by 2 constables. Arrest him, Harold cried, pointing at James. He threatened me for money. Stop, the Duke said sharply. You will not lie in my house again. The constables shifted, unsure. Officers, the Duke continued calmly. You have heard one complaint. Now hear another. He handed them the folder James had built. This man has stolen large sums from the Ashford estate, forged papers, and tampered with military notices. We have witnesses and signed statements. Harold went white. You cannot prove. We can, James said. Finch has confessed. So have your creditors. The constables skimmed the pages, faces growing grim. I think you had better come with us, sir, the older one said to Harold. Harold lunged toward Clara. Ungrateful girl, without me. The constables hauled him back, his curses echoing down the corridor as they dragged him away. Silence fell. Clara sank into a chair, shaking. It is over? It is the beginning of the end, the Duke said. Your family will be shown as victims, not partners in his crimes. Your name will survive this. James moved to her side. You are free of him now. And soon, you will be free of this marriage, with Edmund's help. Clara looked at the Duke. Why are you doing this? Truly? Because I have lived long enough to know that comfort without love is a poor prize, he said. Because I love my son, because I respect you, and because I would rather be lonely and at peace than surrounded by people I have hurt. He slid the separation paper across the desk. If you sign, Clara, I will file these tomorrow. Her hand trembled, but she took the pen. She thought of James's ring locked away, of the promise they had made, of the life she had been too afraid to hope for. She signed. James exhaled, as if he had been holding his breath for 3 years. The Duke signed next. There, the first step. What happens now? Clara asked. Now, the Duke said, you return to your family for a time. You heal. James gives London something else to gossip about. And when the dust settles, my son may begin to court you openly, slowly, properly. James's eyes stung. Father, take care of her, the Duke said. That is all the thanks I require. 7 months later, spring had turned the Ashford gardens into a sea of color. Clara walked the gravel path, James's latest letter in her hand. The ink was a little smudged where her tears had fallen. Asterisk. By summer, the lawyers say, we may speak more openly. Asterisk, he had written. Asterisk. I am tired of pretending you are only a friend. I want to dance with you without fear. Walk beside you in daylight. And plan a home that belongs to us alone. May I come to you? Clara? Asterisk. Good news? Anne asked, hurrying up beside her, her own engagement ring glinting. The best, Clara said, smiling. He is coming. Anne hugged her. About time. Yet that night, fear whispered old doubts. Asterisk. What if they never accept us? Asterisk. Asterisk. What if people always see me as the wife who left a duke for his son? Asterisk. Shame tried to creep back in. The next day, a familiar carriage rolled up the drive. Not James's, the Duke's. In the drawing room, Clara curtsied. Your Grace. Edmund, he reminded her kindly. May we speak alone? When they were seated, he studied her with gentle eyes. You are worried, he said. Yes, she admitted. There was no use lying. What if this ruins James? What if being with me costs him everything? Some people will always talk, Edmund said. But gossip fades. Love does not. He paused. Do you love him? With all my heart, she said simply. Then you already know your answer. He reached into his coat and took out a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate ring. This was my wife's, he said. James gave it to you once. You returned it to me when we married. I think it is time you had it back. Clara's breath caught. Edmund, I cannot. You can, he said, closing her fingers around it. When James asks you to marry him, let him place this on your finger again. Tell him it comes with my blessing. Tell him his mother would have liked you very much. Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks. You are too kind to me. I am only trying to be the man I should have been from the start, he replied. Be happy, Clara. Loudly, shamelessly happy. I will sleep better, knowing you are. He left not long after, shoulders still straight, dignity intact. 3 days later, James arrived on horseback, coat dusty from the road, eyes bright with hope and nerves. Clara met him in the hall. For a moment, they simply stood, drinking each other in. You came, she said. Wild horses could not have kept me away, he said with a crooked smile. They walked in the garden, while Anne pretended to admire the flowers from a distance. The separation is complete, James said. There is nothing in law standing between us now. Only your choice. Clara touched the box in her pocket. And my fear, she admitted. Of scandal. Of hurting Edmund. Of not deserving this. James stopped and turned to face her fully. Look at me, he said softly. You did everything out of love and duty. You saved your family. You tried to save my father. You survived things that would have broken others. If anyone deserves a happy ending, it is you. He took both her hands, then dropped to one knee right there on the path. Lady Clara Ashford, he said, voice trembling, I love you. I have loved you through war, through loss, through anger, through truth. Will you marry me? Not for duty, not for safety, just for love? Clara brought out the velvet box and opened it. His eyes widened. Your father gave it back to me, she said, smiling through tears. With his blessing, James swallowed hard. He took the ring and slid it onto her finger. It fit as if it had been waiting. Yes, she said. Yes, James, I will marry you. He rose and kissed her. Gently at first, then with all the years of held-back feeling behind it. The garden spun, but Clara felt steady for the first time in years. Their wedding, 3 months later, was held in the same chapel where she had once married the Duke. Yet, everything felt reborn. This time, Clara wore pale blue silk, her eyes bright, her smile real. Her father walked her down the aisle with pride, not desperation. At the front, James waited, strong and sure. Among the guests sat Edmund, dressed in dark, simple clothes, eyes bright with something like joy. When Clara and James walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, Edmund rose and bowed to them both. It felt like a blessing, quiet but powerful. At the celebration, James pulled Clara into a slow dance. Are you happy? He asked, his mouth close to her ear. Gloriously, she said. Scandal or no scandal. Good, he murmured. Because I intend to spend the rest of my life proving you were worth every battle I fought and more. Later, as their carriage rolled toward the small estate they had chosen together, Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. She thought of the girl at the window, clutching a letter and waiting for news that never came. Of the Duchess who did her duty while her heart lay buried. Of the woman she was now tested, scarred, but finally free to choose. I love you, James said lightly, as if it were the simplest truth in the world. I love you too, Clara answered. And this time, nothing will come between us. The road ahead curved out of sight, green and bright and unknown. For the first time, Clara was not afraid of what waited there. She had chosen love, and love, at last, had chosen her back.